just this tiny little thing in the middle here with, but all the people along the way. But I wanted to start with the screen spread this way now in terms of where people might go and where you might go out in the world here, get outside and sniff the air. And boy, the other day we got some flowers, and boy, did those things sniff well. And but to sniff the air and see what's going on and listen to the birds and whatever else. But I wanted to set the scale here just as a starter, and then we'll kind of work our way around the map as I usually do. But I particularly wanted to have it here. Springtime, it's lovely. People are going to be out and get out, and I'll be talking about trails. I'll be talking a little bit about just, sidewalks even that you can be out walking on. But in the case of the looking at trails and all, I wanted to have it at this scale to kind of do a stage setter for the, I've talked before about all the green on the map, even though there's a lot of people living inside that green. But I've talked a lot about the green, but a particularly funny little story that we have is probably 10 years ago, we were out here and we were out at Shenandoah National Park. And we stayed out there, and we were out for a walk and going north along one of the trails up toward the northern end of the park, but only maybe a couple of miles. And we came across, coming south towards us, this young woman with her backpack and her boots, and probably a walking stick too. I don't recall, but anyway, it was just us. And so we stopped to chat a bit, and we just told her what we were doing there and walking around, and she reported that she was walking down from the north. And so I think it was probably I who said just innocently, "Oh, from Front Royal?" And she said, "No, from Maine." So that kind of put us in our place. And from the point of view of having the whole map here and seeing what people will do in terms of walking and visiting and enjoying the world, there are some people that do it a little bit longer and farther than the rest of us. That puts us in our place. But she was happy, and I didn't feel like walking to Maine that day. But what we do is, let's come back in closer and say, in terms of the green space that we have here, and trails, parks, whatever that I want to talk about, and you're welcome to talk about for sure, is let me get in a little closer here, and put it, there we were in Shenandoah National Park, and somebody coming down from Maine, and so whoopee, good for them and good for us, but I wanted to drive in a little closer and kind of have a slightly different perspective. And that perspective is that in addition to all the parks that are out there, the places where you can enjoy are manifold, and they can be, you may have trouble finding them on the map, so to speak. And in finding them on the map, in this case, if you were to come in here, we could start with right here, just off at the very southern end of Sleepy Hollow Road, is this tiny little Belvedere Park, which in and of itself, if you're out for a walk, it could be a destination to go there and just wander around the park. And a lot of the enjoyment that we'll have, a little chilly right now, but a lot of the enjoyment that we'll have will be sitting in the sun, sitting in the shade, listening to the quiet, maybe not so much along Columbia Pike, but in other places, listening for the birds. I had an occasion yesterday when I was out driving around doing a little reconnaissance before this event, and as I drove back along Beachway, a pileated woodpecker flew across in front of me and landed on a tree just to the side of the road. There was nobody else around, so I could slow down a little bit and take a peek at it. But it's in terms of interesting birdie events, that was certainly it. Oh, and I just thought of something else. Whilst also driving around, going past the fire station over on Columbia Pike, There was, as I drove back past them, I noted a very large bird flying towards the whatever it is, the television, the communications tower immediately behind the fire station, and this bird had in its beak a piece of branch that was probably 2 feet long, and not 2 feet, not big and wide, but a long branch. And then I saw that there was another bird up inside the very topmost parts of where they have the communication repeaters up there, and so maybe we will have ourselves a raptor nest or something up there, and we can enjoy that as well. And well, that's part of the wildlife you can see along the way. This little park, Belvedere Park, you have that's a nice little thing. And over, where are we? Where is this map taking me now? Yeah. Also, in terms of nice little parks, I think Clyde and Kathy know this one over here at the elementary school. Where there's the Bailey's Park. There's a lot of cut tree stumps in there right now, but it's still useful for getting around. And from the point of view of having a destination, it is one. Maybe you have an hour to go someplace. Maybe you're on the way to someplace else. Maybe you have a library card that you need to use for the library next door. But it's to have a little park like that. They're emblematic. I should step back and say they're emblematic of a lot of the things at whatever scale this map is set at. A lot of the things, in addition to all the people that are here, the other things that have been built in that allow for kind of, you could say, maybe passive recreation for the people in the area to enjoy the sun, the shade, the birds, the wildlife. There's an awful lot of effort put in there by the parks departments in the various counties. As we move back and forth along the map, we can pick and choose, and I'm happy to drive to some place that somebody wants to look at a little more closely. But if you look at online and you pick a county, they don't use the same accounting for how many parks and how many miles of trail and whatnot they have. But those that have any reporting on them have relatively big numbers of trails, relatively big numbers of parks. And so there's lots of places a person could go on our own on a nice day, or if somebody's coming to town, or you have to meet your best Uncle Louie someplace. Between here and there may be a place to stop and get a coffee. But there's an awful lot of things that a person can be doing there. Now, I've done the Appalachian Trail and I brought it in a little bit closer, but here we have, let's take a look a little bit at the counties here. Here we're at Fairfax is where we're centered essentially now, with 900 miles of trails, bikeways, et cetera, at least as reported by the folks in Fairfax County here. They have something online that is called Trail Buddy. So if you need a little help finding some place to go or something to do or something about it, it's there. Included in the trails in Fairfax County is a little bit of equestrian trails. Most of the counties don't have too much in terms of horse work, but there are some equestrian trails in addition to nature trails. I think nature trails are what you have sometimes when something is overgrown. I guess there was one place I passed yesterday that had a sign up saying, don't come in right now because we're trying to take care of invasive plants. So there's a little bit of that maybe is not so good for walking around, but still it'll be along in time. In addition to parks, I should point out that there's schools, from the point of view of a place to go to recreate or rest a little bit. Schools, libraries, and golf courses are good places to go and stretch your legs or rest your legs. So, and we have many of those around the area. Juxtaposition in terms of Fairfax County, I brought in our tiny little Belvedere Park right here, and then the one at Bailey's Crossroads. I think that each of them are about 2 acres. But they kind of juxtapose down in the south part of the county, the Huntley Meadows area down there. That's 1,400 acres. So there's a bit more to do down there. And if you're into birding, there's a lot of times that the birding folks are down there at various times to observe whoever the comings and goings are of the birds. Should also point out that from the point of view of where you find the parks and things of that nature, the thing that drives a lot of that, I mean, a lot of it is just taking advantage of what Mother Nature has done here, and that is Mother Nature has a lot of water running through the area. And so a lot of places are not good for building, but they are potentially very good for parking, that kind of parking, to have a park, so to speak. So there is a lot of that, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of water running through here that gives us the wherewithal for having parks that are either naturally created and maybe built up after the neighborhood gets going, or actually created by the county or whoever else. All right. One other thing that I was particularly interested in, come over here to just into Arlington County down Route 50, and that is where'd we go? Now I lost him. I knew where I was yesterday, but over here near Bluemont Park along Route 50, is that it there? That might be it there. The which park is this? This is Lubber Run off Route 50. From the point of view of the county or the town or whatever else doing something to improve the use of the area there, it's nice to see that at the park at Lubber Run, which is just up behind the Thai restaurant up there on the north side of Route 50. They have built in, and it's not new, they have built in a presentation area, an area with a bunch of seats built up so that you can actually have shows of various types there. And there's others of those things around the area that it makes it more interesting. And it also makes it sometimes more of a destination, which is no bad thing. Where was I going to go from there? Let's see here now. Let's drive down a little bit, back down to where you are. Let's get a little bit. In addition to the finding of places in the parks and all that, it's also very useful to maybe come down to some place like Alexandria and just enjoy walking around down there along the river, whatever else. I mean, we are very fortunate to have all of the things that are available in terms of social, passive social things that are very valuable. If you get bored, you can come out a little bit to the west here and pick up, which is this? Is this Holmes Run? I think it is Holmes Run. Holmes Run Trail, which of course runs all the way up to us up here, just at the bottom of the dam. But you can follow, you probably want to wear good boots if you're going to try to follow this trail, because there's lots of places where water crosses, or you have to cross water. But you can come all the way down here to Eisenhower Avenue and pick up another trail that runs along Eisenhower Avenue back towards south of Landmark. So you could have a good morning's walk, maybe a good afternoon's walk out of all of that. All right, now now I should say also, you could also from Alexandria, or up by the airport actually, you can pick up the W and OD Canal Trail, which if you're of a mind to have a good long walk, that would I guess it's only 45 miles from Shirlington out to Purcellville, but it passes the day, and it takes advantage, as a lot of trails do, call them trails, or just maybe they're personal walkways, with no motor vehicle traffic, is they take advantage of either underground gas lines or overhead power lines. And since they have them going that way, the counties and other people have built in trails, and that's a good thing. Hello, I heard somebody. Maybe somebody sneezed. Okay, God bless you. But anyway, the 45 miles out to Purcellville is not a bad thing. Let me not shortstop our friends in Maryland, though. And I say that partly because I used to live there. There is, and I've said this before in my talks here, in terms of most of the things that have been done in building the Beltway, et cetera, an awful lot of it has been on the Virginia side. And part of that is because on the Maryland side, there's an awful lot of federal land as well. But I don't mean to shortstop the Maryland side, and on purpose, because there've been new things added that are worth getting to. Start here at the bottom of the map, right across from Alexandria, National Harbor, a good location, a good destination by boat from Alexandria, makes for a nice afternoon there. Me personally, it was kind of built up in maybe not the best sort of ways, but nobody asked me, so who am I to say? But proceeding downriver, as we have done a couple of times. Oops, hello. Oh, good. Oh, I have such fun with this sometimes, tell you. An area you may not consider as a destination, so to speak, but just over here outside Upper Marlboro is a place that Marcia and I know going back several years. The Jug Bay, which is on down here where the Patuxent River is not much of a river, but it's still part of the Patuxent River. But there's the Jug Bay down here has got a wildlife walk area. And in fact, Paris Glendenning, the former governor, who was from the Prince George's County area, was a driving force in creating the Jug Bay area as a park, as a destination. Also, should say, he was also the driving force in creating a situation where much of this green area, which used to be tobacco farms, starting in the mid-90s, was bought up, and people mostly closed up the tobacco farms for residential, but also for other agricultural use, primarily, if not only, but primarily wine. There's a lot of vineyards, as there are across in Virginia. Over here in the area outside Upper Marlboro in Anne Arundel County and Calvert County, there's more than a few vineyards now where they used to be tobacco farms. Not great for this area, is not great for putting in big developments. Most everything, the infrastructure is not all there. Big infrastructure over on the Virginia side. Over here, almost everything is well and septic, but the soil is conducive to that. Very few places over here don't do very well in septic. They're very conducive for septic tanks and stuff. And also the availability of water on this very sandy soil right next to the Chesapeake Bay, oh, by the way, is such that you can put a lot of people in there and keep them pretty well supplied with their own well water. My well, when I lived over here, was, I think, 200 feet deep. And it didn't have to be that deep because you hit water at about 4 feet. But they made it that deep to have better water. And so it worked out. And there was, where was I going to go down here? South, there we go. While you're over here and you've left Upper Marlboro and done the, done the Jug Bay trip, maybe go over to Chesapeake Beach and have some crabs. And you would appreciate maybe when you drive along there, and having seen this now, that there used to be from Union Station to Chesapeake Beach a train line. And that partly explains this very straight stretch of road right here coming down after you get into, it's just as you get into Calvert County, that this very long straight line, which was a rail bed that came down to Chesapeake Beach. And it was very common back in the day to have people spend a weekend at Chesapeake Beach and take the train down. Now there's all kinds of other people there, but the road is still nice and straight. But while you're there, something you could, if you really want to go for a longer ride, when I lived over here, we had some people that their motive, their goal for getting out and about was to run the length of Calvert County from all the way up just near Jug Bay, just where you get into Calvert County, all the way down to below Lusby to Solomon's Island. It's a trip. I prefer to drive it, not to run it. Thank you kindly. And I should say also, I mentioned something about bicycle trails. Not really good. A lot of places are not really good for bicycling, but you can do it. You just want to be careful. Maybe the last stop of your trip, while you finished up in town, you've been over in the little parks around us here, is to come down to Calvert Cliffs and take a tour of the Calvert Cliffs nuclear power plant. A little different kind of thing that you might expect, as opposed to coming down and crabbing or going to the to go to Calvert Cliffs as well, because Calvert Cliffs is noted for the cliffs and for the shark's teeth that are generally available if you're of a mind to walk the beach and go looking for them. But there's lots of shark's teeth to be had down there, and it makes for a good destination for the day. And if you get hungry for more fish, you can come down to Solomon's Island and have some fun with that. But if it's a weekday, you're probably going to have some air traffic from the Patuxent River Naval Air Station down here at Lexington Park, so that it might be not as quiet as you'd expect.